Alright, so this will be my entrepreneurship class, and one of the things I want you to do today, more than anything else, is I just want our young people here today just to think. I'm not here to tell you what's right or what's wrong or what you should do, but I want to plant a seed in your head to be able to think for the future for yourself. So I'm going to present some things today that may be a little bit different than what you might normally think. So my topic today is on business and money. And my first slide is here is, what do the wealthy teach their children about money that the poor and middle class don't? We live today in a consumer society. Most of us define ourselves in terms of how much we have and what we consume. Our cars, where we live, our vacations, maybe the planes we drive or fly in, or the boats that we have. It says if your reason for becoming rich is to look rich, you'll never be rich. Now some people will ask me at the end of the presentation, are you rich or are you wealthy? I am very rich. But because I'm rich does not necessarily mean I have a lot of money. I'm rich and I'm blessed for what I do. I'm blessed and rich to have the opportunity to maybe pass on some of my wisdom to our future. Because someday I'm going to take care of mom and dad and hopefully very well. Question. Which would you rather do? It's a show of hands. Would you rather work for money or would you rather have money work for you? How many people here would like to work for money? Go ahead. Raise your hand. Who wants to work for money? Go ahead. How many people here would prefer to have money work for them? Now, how many people here would not put their hand up no matter what I said? Right? Now, when I got started, I thought this was the only way to work for money. And unfortunately, our school system, I'm not too sure what they're like in Brazil, but unfortunately, a lot of our school systems in Canada, they teach our children to exchange hours for dollars. They teach us to become slave to a job. Oh, one quick question. I have lots of questions. I have a suitcase back by my booth, and there's $1 million in my suitcase. Now, if I could give you the suitcase today, $1 million, or take a penny and double it for 30 days, how many people here would take the $1 million? $1 million right now, or a penny doubled for 30 days? Who wants the $1 million? $1 million? $2 million? Who wouldn't put their hand up no matter what I said? Now, like you, you know what? I would probably, back then, I would take the $1 million today, right now. By the way, I don't have $1 million. But if you took a penny and doubled it, so the first day I'd get 1 cent. Is it pennies here? Yeah, 10 cents. Okay. And then the next day, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So by the end of the week, I have 10 cents. And now you've got the $1 million, and you're having a great time. But by the end of the 30th day, it works out to about $14 million. But as a society, we want things now, right? We want it quick, instant. Right? Okay, so let's have a look. How do we teach our children to create wealth? Actually, we don't. Let me ask you this. In your schools in Brazil, in your library, how many books are there in the library that teach you how to create wealth? How many? 1? How many of you ever looked? So how do you know how to create wealth if the school doesn't teach you? Have you ever asked the question, why don't they teach you? Why don't they teach you how to create money? How to create wealth? Why? Do you have a course on business in your schools? Why not? Who creates the curriculum? In our schools, our Canadian government teaches this. To me, it doesn't make sense why they wouldn't teach our children how to create wealth. This is what they do teach us. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Oops. Go to school, study hard, get a good job, become a good employee, maintain good credit. Let someone else determine your worth so you can consume lots of stuff. That's what they teach. Go to school, get a good job, and get a good education. A good education, get a good job. Maintain good credit. You know what credit is? Put you in debt. Because once they have you in debt, they want to keep you in debt. They teach you to exchange dollars for hours. And this one here is the one that upsets me the most. Your parents raise you to tell you that you're the most important thing in the world, the most valuable thing in the world. And yet when you get out, you allow someone else to determine your worth. They crush your dreams and hopes for a better future by telling you you're worth how much an hour. What's starting wage in Brazil? How much is the starting wage in a service industry?
$300.
An hour?
No, the minimum salary.
Minimum. How much an hour?
Depends.
Depends. Okay. In Canada, I think it's about $11 an hour. It's not enough.
Because we don't use hours.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Oh, in Canada, we get paid by the hour. 8 hours a day times so much money a day. Let me show you what, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a job, but there's a difference between a job and a career. Total difference. Let me ask you a quick question. Who do you think pays the most amount of tax? The wealthy? Or the common people who have a job? Who pays the most amount of tax? See, you don't know the answer, do you? And it's not your fault. Because why? It's not taught. The people who pay the highest percentage of taxes, the most taxes, are the common people. The wealthy don't pay a lot of tax. Why? Because the laws are written that way. Okay, oops. Whoa, 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 whoa. There we go. Okay. I've been taught that job stands for just over broke. They pay you just enough to keep you in the games to keep coming back. It's like the game of golf, if any of you ever played. It's a cruel game. Sometimes you can play very well, and other times you want to throw your clubs away. Job also sometimes means to me is jackass of the boss. The boss is the one who always makes the most amount of money. Okay? So I'm going to show you a short little video clip here. Just going to listen to it a little bit. Hopefully I can get this to work.
You guess who used to work at The Gap? Kanye West. Guess who used to sell hot dogs at the mall? Eva Mendes. I heard President Andrew Johnson was a tailor, George Washington was a surveyor, Herbert Hoover was an engineer, Theodore Roosevelt was a rancher, and President Jimmy Carter was a peanut farmer. Hugh Jackman, who plays Wolverine, was a clown. But look who's laughing now. You know what I noticed about successful people? Successful people take a course of action which coincides with their belief or passion. Put your hand up if you work a 9 to 5, or 5 to 9, or just any job which you don't enjoy but takes up half your time. Well, hopefully in a couple weeks, months, days, years time, you'll be able to come back to this video, hear that first line, and keep your hand down. Because how many times have you visualized taking a pen from the manager's desk, or the one the cashier keeps behind the till, the one your supervisor places it strategically in their hair, or the one the security guard keeps behind his ear for extra intimidation, and writing your resignation? Because there's nothing wrong with making an honest living, but be honest, are you honestly living? With this menial job which allows you just to stay afloat, yes, a job, a job, which leaves you just over broke every single month, living your life just for the weekend, living life just on the weekend, because the other 5 days belong to your manager. You see, there's a big difference between a job and a career. Because in a career, no matter how many hours you work, you do it because it's satisfactory. But in a job, you do it for a salary. because you're stuck in the rat race. And you know, being stuck in the rat race is one of the biggest of traps, because as a matter of fact, even if you win the rat race, you're still just a rat. See, I understand the need to have a job temporarily, but pursue a career eventually. Because in my job, I used to sell at least 200 shoes a day, and none of that was ever reflected in my pay. One of my colleagues once made the company $5,000 in 1 month, and you know what he got? An email, a £20 discount voucher, and a complimentary lunch. I'm sure you can relate. But wait, are we still happy with an extra week holiday and a raise in a salary? Perhaps we need more clarity. Let's look at the statistics. Because the Industrial Revolution was beneficial technologically, but it coerced a lot of people into factories for ridiculous salaries to benefit their families, and that shaped people's mentalities exponentially, and essentially it became the norm to work for someone else by the turn of the century. And I could have regurgitated facts and figures to support this, but I choose not to boast. Plus that would give them nothing to write about in the Huffington Post. Now in 3 years I've had 6 jobs, and that made me think that long term I could never be happy working one of these jobs. And I used to have a rich uncle called Steve, and they say that apple don't fall far from the tree, so maybe subconsciously I was trying to get one of Steve's jobs. I understand more than anyone that a job allows you to pay the bills, make ends meet and survive. But that's exactly what it is, surviving, not living. I hope you're aware of the difference. It's like when you hear but don't listen. Because you can hear good advice, but if you don't heed it, it does no benefit to your system. The same way only knowledge with application is wisdom. I hope you're creating the distinction. Sean Corey Carter said it best. 9 to 5 is how you survive, and I'm not trying to survive. So he strived hard for his dream, and look where it took him. So bear that in mind next time you drive past that arena in Brooklyn. But then again, survival is the only trait that every human being has in common. And do not take this as a reason to quit your job, go back home and stare at a computer screen, because a government check plus idleness does not equal success. Success will not fall in your lap. In my family we have a saying. It says, if you really want to grow trees, pray for rain, but don't neglect to water your seeds. Chase your dreams. Because I wrote this on the back of a pay slip, on the late shift, the grave shift of slave ship for makeshift wages. Google the term corporate sharecropping and you understand what I'm talking about. If somebody wants to do these jobs, then let them. And from the bottom of my heart, I respect them. Because I once met a garbage man who was the happiest man that I've ever met. But don't become a slave to a paycheck. Because a job is a safe net. The condom which the system uses to screw you. And none of us would be here if everyone practiced safe sex. Stand tall. And if you're not sure if you're building someone else's dream, maybe this will help. Jerry Giles said, you will recognize your own path when you come upon it, because you will suddenly have all the energy and imagination you will ever need. And don't be afraid to innovate, because it's not about how much change you make, but rather about how much change you make. Because a business that makes nothing but money is a poor business. So you decide what your life is worth, your passion or your paycheck. Because your playing small does not serve the world. Because what is our deepest fear? It's not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Confucius. Choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. Peace.
Oh, I watched that time and time again, and I still get chills watching it. What I love to do more than anything else is to light a fire in you, to follow your dreams. I really applaud you for being here today, because what you're going to do is you're coming out of your comfort zone to go halfway around the world to experience something different. What I want you to get out of this more than anything else is to follow that dream. Don't let anyone ever tell you what you're worth, except you. You determine it. But unfortunately, our school systems aren't designed that way. Oops, the next slide, sorry. Oh, did I lose my clicker? Thank you. Unfortunately, with a lot of our jobs, there is no leverage. Exchange dollars for hours. There is no security. Now, I'll ask the parents this. How many people here in the room know somebody who's lost their job? More than once. And it's not because you're not a nice person. It's not because you don't do a good job. Changing the economy, and all of a sudden, your husband or your wife has to come home and explain to the rest of the kids, I lost my job today. And you have to start all over again. And no time. I found it interesting to say that, we work just for our weekends. That's not what life's all about, just the weekends. All right, 4 ways to produce an income. Unfortunately, most of us are employees. And again, we're exchanging time for money. And someone always sets the limit. You will never make more than the boss, ever. Okay? 95% of the wealth are business owners. They have a system, so they run their own business. And this is some of the things that we teach people, how to take an idea, how to create an idea, and how to move it forward. How to find something that you're passionate about, to share about, to make the world a better place, to help other people. Self-employed. Now, self-employed is kind of a cool thing too, but you got to be careful. Sometimes self-employed is just another job, and you've got the worst boss. It's you. And sometimes you have to fire you, and that's no fun. Okay? And the last one is to invest. To invest in stocks, to invest in bonds, to invest in real estate. But again, if it's not taught in school, how do you learn it? Now, if your parents know it, they can pass it on, but these are things that should be taught in school. You are very bright people. You should all be able to understand about real estate. You should be able to understand about the stock market, but it's not taught in school. So if you're not given the skills, it's very difficult to get out of the rat race. What's interesting of all of the 4 here, as I said earlier, the one that pays the most amount of tax is an employee. Now let me ask the students in here, have you ever had a class on taxes? Have you ever had a class on to teach you how to minimize the amount of taxes legally that you have to pay? No. Why not? I always find it so it's amazing. Kids will go out and they'll get a job and they'll see their paycheck, and in Canada they look and they go, "Wow, I made this much," and they said, "No, this is what you made." See, when you have a job, you get paid last. Who gets paid first? The government. Right? Government takes their cut right off the top. Do you have a say in it? No. Where if you own your own business, you get paid first, the government gets paid last. Do they teach this in school? No. So you're going out into the school. Another thing that they're doing is, they're teaching you is to go to school, get a good job, get a good education with the hope of getting a good job, right? I'm not sure what your education system costs you here, but university, we have a lot of students coming out, and what are they? They're $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 in debt and no job. So you're 25 years old and you're $35,000 in the hole with no way to get out. Why? Because they didn't teach you. So these are some of the things that we kind of go over in our class to give you an idea. But the most important thing is to follow the dream. Yes, jobs are great, and I respect. I own a job. I get paid a salary. But I do this job because I love to do it. Would I like more money? Sure. But there's also an awful lot of other benefits. I get to meet an awful lot of beautiful people. I get to help a lot of people. Okay? Now, if I had more time, I'd go into all of these a little bit more. But I only have a half an hour. Okay. Let me ask you this last question. There's one more short little video. And I told you the only thing I wanted to do today was just plant a seed. Okay? So if time and money were no object, what would you do? So in other words, if you had all the money in the world and you had all the time in the world, what would you do? I want you to answer that question. Maybe some of you want to be an artist, a musician, a dancer, a sculptor, a painter, a mother, a father. Just watch this last video. Maybe if you can click that on. And again, just listen for it for a minute.
What do you desire? What makes you itch? What sort of a situation would you like Let's suppose, I do this often in vocational guidance of students. They come to me and say, well, we're getting out of college and we haven't the faintest idea what we want to do. So I always ask the question, what would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers, but as everybody knows, you can't earn any money that way. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I say, do you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And after all, if you do really like what you're doing, it doesn't matter what it is, you can eventually you could eventually become a master of it. The only way to become a master of something is to be really with it. And then you'll be able to get a good fee for whatever it is. So don't worry too much. Somebody's interested in everything. And anything you can be interested in, you'll find others will. But it's absolutely stupid to spend your time doing things you don't like in order to go on spending things you don't like and doing things you don't like, and to teach your children to follow in the same track. See, what we're doing is we're bringing up children and educating them to live the same sort of lives we're living, in order that they may justify themselves and find satisfaction in life by bringing up their children, to bring up their children to do the same thing, so it's all retch and no vomit. It never gets there. And so, therefore, it's so important to consider this question, what do I desire?
You've always been looking for something. That something that sets you apart. That something that makes you more than the person you're living as. More into the person you were created to be. What others see as mundane, you see as magnificent. You catch a glimpse of something new, and it becomes something significant. It's that something extra that keeps you up at night. The hours pass by while everyone else sleeps. You dream, you imagine, you envision what your life might be. What if you were born for more? There's got to be more than just this. I want to be used. That's your greatest wish. The demand for you has always been true. You are gifted and passionate. Add God's purpose to this, and watch what He can build. Now, what will you do with what you've been given? Will you put it into motion? Will you take on the responsibility? Will you follow after the calling God has placed on your life? To be fulfilled, to be engaged, to cast out all fears, doubts, and uncertainties, to stand strong, to rise up, to become who you were created to be. Who is the prodigy in you?
So I just want to leave you with this. My job as a teacher is not to put information into your head. Facts, figures. It's all there. Google it. My job is to take what's in there and pull it out. To nurture it, support it, support the dream, and to go after it. You have more opportunity to do anything in the world that you want to do. Listen to this right here and go after it. Surround yourself with good people. Love your parents because they're there to help you. Right? So with that, I want to say thank you for listening, and hopefully someday I may see you in front of some of our classrooms. So thank you very much.